On iBrand News Now, former Imo State Governor Rochas Okorocha breaks silence on his supposed arrest by Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. WIMBIZ queries non-inclusion of women in the newly constituted governing councils of the University of Lagos. United States deeply disappointed by Somalia's extension of President FARMAAJO'S terms by 2 years. OPEC says global crude oil prices have continued to rise for the 5th consecutive month. Hello and thanks for joining us on News Now. I'm Michael Nath. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo is currently presiding the weekly meeting of the Federal Executive Council of the Presidential Villa, Abuja. The President Muhammadu Buhari is still in London, where he's undergoing routine medical checkup. At the commencement of the meeting, council members observed a minute's silence in honor of a former Minister of Commerce and Industry, Mahmood Tukur. Details of the meeting will be brought to you in our subsequent bulletins. The Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Talon, has frowned at the low pace of justice dispensation for victims of sexual and gender-based violence, SGBV, in the country. She did this during the launching and inauguration of the National Strategic Knowledge Management Technical Working Group on SGBV. The minister said thousands of reported cases are not adequately handled by the justice system. She, however, appealed to stakeholders to help secure justice for victims, saying that the technical working group will focus on building collaboration between stakeholders, provide guidance for implementation and monitoring of work plan, among others.
What we have on hand now is over 3,000 reported cases. But out of these over 3,000 reported cases, only 11 have been prosecuted. That is not acceptable. I appeal to the justice system to rise up to the occasion to ensure that no justice is delayed. I also want to call on all states that are yet to domesticate the VAPT Act and the Child's Rights Act to ensure the speedy domestication of our Child's Rights Act and the VAPT Act.
It is important to acknowledge the critical role that partners working at both the state and the local levels have in making this work. The technical working group will provide technical and strategic inputs in all the program thematic groups for evidence-based planning and policy decision-making towards addressing sexual and gender-based violence in an effective and efficient manner in Nigeria.
I look forward and we request women to give their maximum support, and men, of course, because we always talk about he for she, and we have many men around here, and we are very sure and confident that whatever we do, the men will always be by our side, as we are always by the side of the men to help them and to create better understanding of what it is to say, to have a gender lens for all of us to look at whatever is happening, issues and programs that have to do with humanity.
The Nigerian Disease Control has confirmed that a total of 154,225 patients have recovered from coronavirus disease since its outbreak in the country in 2020. The NCDC disclosed this on its official Twitter handle on Tuesday. 1,661 people who recovered from the disease were discharged between April the 4th and April the 10th, which showed a reduction when compared to 2,417 patients who recovered in the previous week. The NCDC said that the 154,225 recoveries from COVID-19 were about 94.1% of the known cases. The Public Health Agency said there were 7,599 active cases spread across the country. It also disclosed that 74 new cases of COVID-19 were registered in the last 24 hours, bringing the total number of infections in the country to 163,911. The new cases were reported across 8 states and the Federal Capital Territory. According to NCDC, the new cases registered on Tuesday included 30 in Lagos, Enugu 11, FCT 11, Akwa Ibom 8, Osun 5, Kaduna 4, Ebonyi and Rivers 2 each, and Ekiti 1. Immediate past Imo State Governor Rochester Okorocha has broken silence on his arrest by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) over alleged misappropriation of public funds. Okorocha was arrested by the EFCC operatives at about 4:10 p.m. on Tuesday at his Unity House office located at Garaki, Lagos, Abuja. But speaking through his media aide, Sam Onwe-Odo, Okorocha said since the anti-graft agency was only doing its job, he would cooperate fully with it. He said, quote, "To us, the commission is doing its job and should be given the needed cooperation. And Okorocha, being a law-abiding citizen, would always cooperate with the commission over the matters in courts. EFCC is not a slaughterhouse, but a very responsible institution, should be seen as such." End of quote. The media aide maintained that the Imo West senator is being investigated because of the new leadership at the commission. Now, fuel scarcity has resurfaced in Kano metropolitan area and some local government areas of the state, as most filling stations remained closed since Monday in anticipation of fuel price increase. Investigation revealed that most of the filling stations had remained shut, while the few selling the commodity were besieged by long queues of vehicles. The investigation showed that fuel marketers were having a field day in most of the local government areas located outside the state capital. Some of the filling stations owned by the independent petrol marketers preferred to sell the commodity to black marketers in order to maximize profits, even though the pump price had not been increased. Now, the Board of Trustees and Executive Council of Women in Management, Business and Public Service, WIMBIZ, have written to the federal government over the non-inclusion of women in the newly constituted governing councils of the University of Lagos, UNILAG, and 4 other federal universities in the country. The other universities include the University of Ibadan in Oyo State, Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Osun State, University of Port Harcourt in Rivers State, Nigerian Maritime University, Okerin Kuku in Delta State. According to the letter addressed to the Minister of Education, Malam Adamu Adamu, the importance of gender inclusion in federal appointments cannot be overemphasized. Nigerian women have continuously proven to be intellectually capable and resourceful nation builders. WIMBIZ, in the letter, stressed the United Nations gender equality in the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, emphasized that as long as women are economically and socially disempowered in the world of work, their homes and communities' growth will not be inclusive and will not succeed in ending poverty. They therefore called on the presidency to consider and prioritize gender inclusion in subsequent appointments. Now, the Kano State government says it has established 3 Sangaya schools for the integration of Almajiri's system of education into the Western education system. Governor Abdullahi Ganduje said this at the distribution of instructional materials and inauguration of the Teen Trust newspaper at the Government House, Kano, on Tuesday. He said the schools were established following the decision taken by the government to ban Almajiri's system and return all the Majoris in Kano State to their respective states of origin. The 3 Sangaya schools built for Kano State Almajiris that were returned to Kano from other states. So far, 100 Almajiris have been offered admission into the schools. Now, no fewer than 15 persons had been confirmed dead following the invasion of Niua and Heyman, Jesu communities in the Balanga local government area of Gombe State by gunmen. According to reports, many houses were razed while properties were destroyed. Speaking during an on-the-spot assessment of the area, Gombe State Governor Muhammadu Yahaya, alongside the State Commissioner of Police, Ishola Babaita, appealed against reprisals, adding that the perpetrators allegedly from Adamawa State would be punished. The governor said he had commenced talks with relevant persons of Adamawa State towards finding a lasting solution to the perennial crisis there. The government of Japan has donated the sum of $2.3 million infrastructure funds to the Borno State Government and Northeast Development Commission, NADC. The fund is to strengthen healthcare provision and build the resilience of health systems in conflict-affected communities. This was revealed on Tuesday during a meeting by the United Nations Office of Project Services and NDC officials and Borno State Governor Baba Gana Zulum. The project, which is implemented by the UNOPS is primarily aimed at scaling up oxygen supply and expand vaccine storage capacity in 139 healthcare centers and 9 hospitals across the Borno state. The rollout phase for the oxygen plants is expected to commence by March 2022 and is expected to benefit 7.1 million residents and internally displaced persons, IDPs, across Borno state. You're watching News Now on iBrandTV. We'll take a break now. I'll return with more stories. Stay with us.
Powerful looks command respect, they say. The perfect body, the perfect grooming, and ultimately the perfect skin. Looks, style, and grooming makes the ultimate man. Found a ridiculously easy way to make my skin always feel epic. My name is Neil. I found Blemiviv and now my skin finally makes sense.
Swift Dry Cleaners Limited, professional dry cleaners, best in dry cleaning and laundry services that meets the needs of our consumers. Yeah, Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Yeah, for clean wash and quick delivery. Yeah, Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. For clean wash and quick delivery. Ooh.
Swift Dry Cleaners. Clean wash.
You're watching News Now on iBrandTV. African News Now. French oil major Total has decided to postpone its application for additional drilling in South Africa's offshore gas block. A letter seen by Reuters from the consultancy conducting the environmental and social assessments showed the delay is a potential blow to South Africa as it seeks to reduce its reliance on coal and increase the use of natural gas and renewables in its energy mix. More than 80% of the power supplied in South Africa comes from coal-fired plants, making it one of the world's biggest carbon dioxide emitters. The government has suggested that gas from Total's fields could eventually be used as feedstock at South Africa's ailing 45,000 barrel per day gas refinery at Mossel Bay, which has run out of domestic gas feedstock. Now, the Democratic Republic of Congo will start its COVID-19 vaccination campaign on April the 19th with 1.7 million AstraZeneca doses it received from the COVAX Global Vaccines Sharing Scheme after delaying the rollout for more than a month. Congo received the vaccines on March the 2nd and was expected to begin the inoculation campaign almost immediately, but delayed rollout after several European countries suspended use of the shots. A government statement late on Tuesday said a task force had determined that the AstraZeneca vaccines already available in the country presented no risks to the population. Congo has reported 28,542 infections and 745 coronavirus-related deaths since the pandemic began. The United States is deeply disappointed by Somalia's approval of legislation that extends the terms of the president and members of parliament by 2 years. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said in a statement on Tuesday. Blinken said implementation of this bill will pose serious obstacles to dialogue and further undermine peace and security in Somalia. It will also compel the United States to re-evaluate bilateral relations with the federal government of Somalia to include diplomatic engagement and assistance, and to consider all available tools, including sanctions and visa restrictions, to respond to efforts to undermine peace and stability. Somalia's lower house of parliament voted on Monday to extend President Mohamed Abdullahi Mohamed's 4-year term, which expired in February, for another 2 years. The Senate rejected the move. Foreign news now. President Joe Biden will withdraw all U.S. troops from Afghanistan before this year's 20th anniversary of the September 11 attacks, finally ending America's longest war, despite mounting fears of Taliban victory, officials said on Tuesday. The drawdown delays only by around 5 months an agreement with the Taliban by former President Donald Trump to pull troops amid growing consensus in Washington that little more can be achieved. The decision came as Turkey announced an international peace conference on Afghanistan in hopes of reaching an agreement that brings stability to a nation battered by nearly 40 years of war. But the Taliban, newly emboldened, said they would boycott the conference. Now, the mass shooter who killed 51 people in New Zealand in 2019 has launched a legal challenge seeking a review of his prison conditions and his status as a terrorist entity. White supremacist Brenton Tarrant was sentenced in August to jail for life without parole for the murder of 51 people and attempted murder of 40 others at 2 mosques in Christchurch on 15th March 2019, the worst mass shooting in the country's history. Tarrant, an Australian national, is the only person in New Zealand to be designated the status of terrorist. A judicial review will be held at the High Court in Auckland on Thursday to clarify the issues, and Tarrant wishes to raise, and New Zealand court authorities said. Now, preliminary information provided to court officials indicate that Tarrant wishes to the court to review decisions made by the Department of Corrections about his prison conditions and also his designation as a terrorist entity under the Terrorist Suppression Act. Business news now. The average global crude oil prices have continued to rise for the 5th consecutive month, and the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries said on Tuesday. OPEC attributed the continued rise in international oil prices to the supportive oil market fundamentals deployed by the group to stem the earlier plunge in crude oil costs. It disclosed this in the highlights of the OPEC monthly oil market report released on Tuesday and obtained by a correspondent in Abuja. Commenting on crude oil price movements, the organization said spot crude prices rose for the 5th consecutive month in March on the back of continuing supportive oil market fundamentals. Meanwhile, OPEC has increased its oil demand outlook for 2021, just as the bloc and its allies plan to unleash more crude supplies over the next few months, according to S&P Global plans. Now, Nigerian property group Petronas is buying ShopRite's Nigerian business after the South African retailer decided to retreat from other African markets, 3 banking sources told Reuters on Wednesday. ShopRite, with more than 2,300 stores across Africa, is awaiting regulatory approval on the sale of its Nigerian supermarket operation, though no further details about the deal have been disclosed. Eurozone citizens expect the European Central Bank's proposed digital euro to be private, safe and cheap, an ECB survey showed on Wednesday. The ECB is working on creating an electronic form of cash to complement banknotes and coins in a bid to stem competition from cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, Twitter and Facebook's proposed GM. An ECB poll showed that privacy when making payments, a key feature of cash that some fear will get lost when switching to an electronic means of payment, was the #1 priority for both private individuals and professionals. A digital euro would give holders a direct claim on the ECB, making it safer than an account held at a commercial bank or a digital wallet. Now, sports news with Jidechi.
Welcome to the Sports Update. My name is Jidechi Chidi Ezie. Nigeria's captain Ahmed Musa has signed a short-term deal with his boyhood club Kano Pillars. Musa's deal with the former Nigerian champions will see him play until the end of the season, although he would be able to leave on free if an offer comes in from abroad. The former Leicester City man has been without a club since parting ways by mutual consent with Saudi Arabia's Al Nassr last October. Musa, who has received offers from teams in Russia, England and Turkey, is taking his time to come to a decision and is keen about staying fit for Nigeria's upcoming World Cup qualifiers starting in June. And in other stories, following 2 weeks of competition in Benin City, the Edo 2020 National Sports Festival is expected to come to an end today. According to the consultant ceremonial, Dr. Henry Nzeku, the closing ceremony will last for just 3 hours between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. at the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium. Thereafter, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo to declare the games closed. He disclosed that the finals of the relay races, mixed relays, 4x100 meters and 4x400 meters for men and women are part of the closing ceremony. As of Tuesday night, Delta had 124 gold medals, 91 silvers, and 83 bronze medals, for a total of 298 medals. Delta is followed by hosts Edo, which has 103 gold medals, 97 silver medals, and 85 bronze medals, for a total of 285. Third-placed Bayelsa has 48 gold medals, 42 silver, and 48 bronze medals. And that's all for now on the Sports Update. Back to you, Michael.
Thank you very much, Jidechi. And with that, it's a wrap on News Now at this hour. Thanks very much for watching. I'm Michael Nath.